This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
About to start about Shlomo HaMelech Sefer Melachim. If you remember where we left off with Shlomo HaMelech working hard to make sure the Beit HaMikdash will be built. It took 7 years to build the Beit HaMikdash, and he used a lot of help from a lot of workers, and especially from the people of the Lebanon, the king Hiram, who was very aiding in making sure that the Beit HaMikdash will be built, in providing the proper wood, gold, silver that Shlomo HaMelech collected from the nation. And finally, after so much labor and so much effort and so much energy, Beit HaMikdash was fully built with all of the utensils and all of the menorot and all of the various kelim, the utensils of Beit HaMikdash. Now it came time to inaugurate, which means to celebrate the Beit HaMikdash as it was fully built. And Shlomo HaMelech looked to the Torah how one is supposed to celebrate the inauguration. As we know, Moshe Rabbeinu built the Mishkan in the desert. And when he finished building the Mishkan, there were 12 tribes, and each one of the tribes brought sacrifices. Each one brought sacrifices, and there were many offerings. Some included spices, some included gold and silver, some included animals that were brought, and each tribe brought their own sacrifices. So Shlomo HaMelech decided that that's a great idea, and he's going to repeat what Moshe Rabbeinu did in the building of the Mishkan, now that the Beit HaMikdash is built. And he went ahead and he did the same thing. He went ahead and he brought many sacrifices. You know how many sheep and how many cattle brought Shlomo HaMelech? 22,000 cows and 120,000 sheep. Just to give you an idea, when you go to the zoo and you see maybe 10, 15 sheep in the petting zoo, that's like many times more than that. And Shlomo HaMelech brought all these sacrifices so that everybody will have meat and have a good time and good food. It's like making a very big barbecue that Shlomo HaMelech did for the sake of the people, so that everybody can go ahead and celebrate the building of the Beit HaMikdash. All of the Jewish people from all over Eretz Yisrael come. From the farthest place in the north to the south, to the east, to the west, the Jews gather together to Yerushalayim, to the area where there's Beit HaMikdash. You see millions of Jews are there with their wives, with their children. Everybody is happy, everybody is celebrating the Beit HaMikdash. Now, when does Shlomo HaMelech finish the building of Beit HaMikdash? He finishes during the month that is known as the month of Cheshvan. The month of Cheshvan happens to be the month right after the month of Tishrei. Now, how much time, think about this one, how much time is there from Cheshvan until Tishrei? 11 months. You have 11 months because it's the month right after. Shlomo HaMelech waited from Cheshvan until the very next Tishrei in order to celebrate the building of the Beit HaMikdash. And some of the commentaries ask, why does Shlomo HaMelech wait that long? Now, if you think about it, all of the people are eager. They see the Beit HaMikdash is built. They're so excited. They're so happy. So they say, all right, let's start celebrating. And Shlomo HaMelech says, no, we're going to wait. And they wait 1 month, and they wait 2 months, and they wait 3 months. And what are people thinking? Oh, Shlomo HaMelech is afraid. He's afraid that God is not going to like this building. He's not going to live in this building, because Shlomo HaMelech came from David, who sinned with the mother of Shlomo, Bathsheba. So people started speaking negatively. People said, oh, Shlomo is not righteous, Shlomo is not a tzaddik, Shlomo is not this. Why is Shlomo HaMelech waiting? He should build it and celebrate right away. So the commentary says Shlomo HaMelech had very, very good calculation. First of all, he said, the month of Tishrei is a very special month. It's known as the Yerach HaEtanim. Yerach HaEtani means the month where all of the great holidays of the Jewish people are found. What do we have in the month of Tishrei? Rosh Hashanah. We have Yom Kippurim, and we have Sukkot. 3 incredible holidays, and Sukkot has attached to it Shmini Atzeret, which also has Simchat Torah, the celebration of the Torah. So many powerful holidays are found during this month. Shlomo HaMelech said, this is the month that God wants me to build and to celebrate the building of the Beit HaMikdash. So he waited actually from Cheshvan all the way to Tishrei in order to make a grand and big celebration of Beit HaMikdash. But that wasn't the only reason. Etanim were also referring to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov Avinu, each one of the 3 great tzaddikim that we are all descendants of, was born in the month of Tishrei. The month of Tishrei had the birth of the greatest people in Am Yisrael. Not only that, the creation of the world was in the month of Tishrei. Tishrei was when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, 6 days, created on day 1, light and darkness. He created on day 2, the separation between the heavens and the waters that were below the waters of the land. Day 3, the dry land was created. Day 4, we have the sun and the moon and the stars. Day 5 was the creation of the birds and of all the sea creatures. And day 6 was, of course, the animals and people. HaKadosh Baruch Hu finished the creation of the world when? The first day of Tishrei. And then it was Shabbat. And since the world was created on Tishrei, and the building of the Beit HaMikdash was the whole point of the entire creation of the world, so that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can reside, can have a house in this world. Shlomo HaMelech said, what better time would it be to celebrate the building of the Beit HaMikdash than the month that the world was created? Because the creation of the world and the creation of the Beit HaMikdash was all of the same purpose. So he waits 11 months. And now it's time for that big celebration. And Shlomo HaMelech, if you remember the very end of last week, I said he had a big problem. Because he wanted to bring the one and only Aron Berit Hashem. There was an ark that had, of course, the 2 angels with the wings, the Keruvim, and the poles, the ones that Moshe Rabbeinu built together with Bitzalel and Aholiav. Remember that? There was only one of them. You should know that the menorah that Moshe Rabbeinu made with Bitzalel, Shlomo HaMelech made another 10. Made another 10 of them. And the shulchan that Moshe Rabbeinu had in the Mishkan, Shlomo HaMelech made another 10 and put them into Beit HaMikdash. In the Beit HaMikdash there were actually 11 menorot and 11 shulchan, but there was only one Aron, and that was the one that Moshe Rabbeinu built. And it was residing in the city of Giv'on, and he had to bring it to Yerushalayim. And through the entire process of bringing it to Yerushalayim, Am Yisrael was dancing and singing and so happy, and they put it into Beit HaMikdash, and he wants to go through the gates, and the gates do not open. They lock. He says, who locked it? It was always opened. The gates never closed in Beit HaMikdash. Shlomo HaMelech is perplexed. He looks for the key, tries to open it. Nobody can open it. It's like jammed. It's locked. And he doesn't know what to do. But Shlomo HaMelech realizes this is not a job for a locksmith or a professional gate opener. No. He knows that God did something here on purpose. And he realizes he has to pray. So he turns to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he prays 24 different prayers so that he should open the gates. And the tefillot are not answered. God does not allow the gates to open. Shlomo HaMelech says, Se'u she'arim rashechem. The gates should open up. Ve'yavo melech hakavod. And the honorable king should enter. Now the gates, they had a mind of their own. They had angels who were guiding them and telling them to remain closed. And they hear Shlomo HaMelech saying, open up gates for the honorable king. And the Melachim of the gates think Shlomo HaMelech is referring to who? Who's the honorable king? Himself. They said, what? He's referring to himself as an honorable king in the presence of God? They wanted to take him and consume him. They wanted to kill Shlomo HaMelech on the spot for saying such words in Beit HaMikdash. There is no honor. Even the most greatest king has no honor in the place of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the only honor that should be mentioned. And Shlomo HaMelech was afraid they were going to kill him. He says, no, let me clarify. Melech HaKavod, mi hu zeh? Who is this Melech HaKavod? Who is this honorable king? Hashem tzevaot hu Melech HaKavod zera. HaKadosh Baruch Hu opened the gates not for me, not for my honor, but for the honor of God. The gates should open and people should see that miracles happen to Am Yisrael. The gates still did not open. He was not able to take the Aron inside, and people were waiting. People were saying, they were speaking Lashon Hara. Shlomo is not so righteous. What's going on? How come? Why isn't God allowing the Aron in? Finally, Shlomo HaMelech very loudly says, the gates should open in the honor of my father, your servant David. And what happens? The gates immediately open. Oh, they hear David HaMelech. David HaMelech? Okay. If David HaMelech says, the gates begin to open. Now, if you remember, David HaMelech had many, many enemies. There were many people that hated him, like Shimei ben Gera, and his own nephew, Yoav ben Tziruyah. All of these people, the house of Shaul HaMelech, all of the family of Shaul. Shimei was already dead. We learned he died, and Yoav was dead, but their families were still alive. And they said David HaMelech wasn't such a great tzaddik. And all of a sudden, they all see that the gates of Beit HaMikdash only opened because of David. Everyone realized that David HaMelech's sin that he had with Bathsheba was completely forgiven. Because if Shlomo HaMelech was able to open up Beit HaMikdash because of his father, and Shlomo was the child of Bathsheba, what does that mean? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave David HaMelech. And indeed, many years before, David HaMelech asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu to forgive him with the sin of taking Bathsheba as a wife before she was divorced from her husband. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, look, I'm not going to forgive you in your lifetime. I'm only going to forgive you after your death, in the times of Shlomo HaMelech. And the commentaries say, why? David HaMelech did perfect tshuva. Why didn't he forgive them? So sometimes a person has to know, even if he does nothing wrong, David HaMelech didn't sin really with Bathsheba. It just looked like a sin. It looked to other people like a sin. What is that called? Chilul Hashem. Chilul Hashem is even when you don't do anything wrong, but people see it and perceive it as if you did something wrong. That already is a desecration of God's name. And someone as holy as David HaMelech has to be careful, not just in his action, but also the perception. What it's going to mean to other people. And David HaMelech wasn't 100% careful. So on his level, it was like a sin. Now, when a person violates Chilul Hashem, the only way to be forgiven, fully 100%, is after he passes away. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I will only 100% forgive you after you leave this world. So that's number one. Number two, David HaMelech worked so hard on making sure the Beit HaMikdash would be built. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted everyone to know that don't think that because Shlomo HaMelech built the Beit HaMikdash, that he is the reason I'm happy with Beit HaMikdash. No, it was because of David HaMelech, all of his effort, all of his spiritual energy that he invested in making sure there would be Beit HaMikdash. That's why the Beit HaMikdash was built. So it was all to the credit of David HaMelech, and therefore the gates did not open until David HaMelech's name was mentioned, to show everyone that it was the honor of David HaMelech that was responsible for the building of Beit HaMikdash. So this is the immense thing that happened, and Shlomo was able to enter with the Aron, everybody singing and dancing. The gates opened on their own. You didn't have to lift a finger. It's like today, we're so used to it because you could press a button and all of a sudden gates start opening. But back then, it was a crazy miracle that happened, that nobody lifted a finger and the gates began to open. So this is how Shlomo HaMelech enters. Now, what day in the month of Tishrei did Shlomo make the celebrations? So we know on the 15th of Tishrei is a very important holiday where we sit in a Sukkah, the holiday of Sukkot. So Shlomo HaMelech was thinking, should I make the celebration on Sukkot? I can't do that. Because the celebration of Sukkot is one celebration, and I can't mix two celebrations together. So Shlomo said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to celebrate 7 days. There will be a celebration. Why 7 days? Who thinks they know why 7 days? Because? No, not because of that, but because the world was created in 7 days. We said the building of Beit HaMikdash is like the creation of the world, and therefore he wanted to make sure that there was a 7-day celebration. But to celebrate on Sukkot you can't do, because that's its own celebration. So what did he decide to do? To make it earlier. 7 days before Sukkot will be the 7 days of the celebration of Beit HaMikdash, and then there will be 7 days of celebration of Sukkot, and the whole Jewish people is going to be there because everyone has to be by Beit HaMikdash, by Sukkot. So that's what he did. Except there's a little bit of a problem, because 5 days before Sukkot is a different holiday that we have. On the 10th of Tishrei, we have a holiday called Yom Kippur. In Yom Kippur, we fast. All the adults are required to fast. Men and women and even children that are over Bar Mitzvah are required to fast on Yom Kippur. The problem is, how are you supposed to celebrate when you're fasting? So Shlomo HaMelech thought about it. He says, if I do the 7 days of celebration before Sukkot, what's going to happen with Yom Kippur? And he made a calculation and he announced to all of the Jewish people that this Yom HaKippurim is going to be an exception. Nobody is fasting this Yom Kippur. Because we need to celebrate the Beit HaMikdash, and how does one celebrate? You have to eat. If you're hungry, you're not going to be able to celebrate well. And therefore, every single person was commanded to make sure that they eat meat, and they drink wine, and they celebrate, even on Yom HaKippurim. All of Am Yisrael ate on Yom HaKippurim. Shlomo HaMelech made sure that everybody knew it's only for this year. It's not forever. It's just one time. It's an exception to the rule because of the building of Beit HaMikdash and the importance of celebrating. It's worth overriding even Yom HaKippurim itself. Wow. The people all listened to Shlomo HaMelech, and each person, they didn't eat because they said, yay, we don't have to fast today, we're going to enjoy. No. They ate purely for the sake of celebration. They did it for the mitzvah of it, and not because they personally enjoyed it. So each Jew was 100% L'Shem Shamayim. Everybody did it for the right reasons, because they were all such high level of tzaddikim. And Shlomo HaMelech, therefore, was so proud of the Jewish people for celebrating the Beit HaMikdash. Now, what does Shlomo HaMelech do? The Jews are there. There's a celebration going on. Shlomo HaMelech turns to the entire nation. And he gets on his knees. He puts his knees down on the floor. And he raises his 2 hands. And he prays to God. First of all, anytime you pray to God, let's say a person wants to ask from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you should know, not only during the time that you're in Beit HaKnesset, should you turn to God. Every person in his own life, when he's at home, when he's in school, when he's in work, whatever he's doing, a person always has to turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and pray. Before we start a prayer, the first thing we have to do is we have to praise God. And that's what Shlomo HaMelech does. He thanks God and he blesses God for his greatness and for never leaving his father David and for always being there and making a promise to his father that Shlomo will build Beit HaMikdash and keeping his word in the building of Beit HaMikdash. So all of this was incredible and amazing that Shlomo HaMelech was able to do. After that, he prays to God that in this Beit HaMikdash, whenever a Jew comes from wherever he comes from, and he has somebody sick in his home, or he needs money, or he needs health for somebody in his life, or any other problem that he has, and he comes to this temple, to this Beit HaMikdash, and he prays to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please listen to those prayers. Please answer those prayers, so that everybody will see the greatness of your name, and that the tefillot of Beit HaMikdash are answered, and are listened to, and if we need rain, then provide rain for us. and everything that happens. And not only that, Shlomo HaMelech then asks HaKadosh Baruch Hu that even a non-Jew, a goy, comes from a distance to pray in Beit HaMikdash, and he has a request from God. As silly as the request might be, God, please answer him. Please answer the goy. Why? So that even the nations of the world should see that when a Jew or a non-Jew comes to Beit HaMikdash and prays, God listens. God will answer him. And that way your name, the name of God, will be elevated, even amongst the non-Jews. This was the prayer of Shlomo HaMelech, to teach everyone, it's important to know that the Jewish people are not looking to harm Goyim. We're not looking to be against Goyim. And the opposite, when we are spiritually strong, it helps not only Am Yisrael, it helps the entire world. The Beit HaMikdash was so special that if the non-Jews knew how special it was and how much it does for them, they themselves will put guards around Beit HaMikdash to protect it. Because the spirituality of Beit HaMikdash is a protection, not just for us, but for the entire world. This is the purpose of creation. Shlomo HaMelech was teaching that when the Jews are following the Torah and the mitzvot, the Beit HaMikdash will offer protection for everyone. It's beneficial for everyone, not just for Am Yisrael. Now, at this time when Shlomo HaMelech is praying and the whole nation is listening and answers Amen, you know what happened? A cloud started to form. Inside the Beit HaMikdash, there was this mist and this cloud looking, you felt like you were inside a cloud. And everybody realized, wait a second, what's happening? This isn't the first time. This happened in the times of Moshe Rabbeinu as well. Anan forms, that means the presence of God is there. Everyone was able to see that God resided and God was staying in the Beit HaMikdash. Finally, after so many years, 480 years, after the creation of the world, after the Am Yisrael left Egypt, the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu found its residence in Eretz Yisrael and in Beit HaMikdash, and this cloud was clear that it was the Shekhinah, the presence of God was there. So finally the whole thing was complete, and Shlomo HaMelech was excited, and everybody is happy. The Jewish people, on the last day, remember, they stayed for Sukkot, they stayed for Simchat Torah, they stayed for Shmini Atzeret, and then they go home. As they were about to leave to go home, the Jewish people felt really bad. They said, you know what? Maybe we made a mistake. Maybe we really weren't supposed to celebrate on Yom Kippurim. We weren't supposed to eat on Yom Kippur. Who says we did the right thing by enjoying and celebrating on a day that God declared to be a fast day? So people started getting nervous and scared that maybe God is not going to forgive them for the sin of eating on Yom Kippurim. You know what happened? At that point in time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself to the Jewish people in a heavenly voice. A heavenly voice came down and said, not only did you do the right thing and you have nothing to worry about, and everything that you did was Leshem Shamayim, was for the sake of doing a mitzvah, I want everyone to know in the Jewish people that each person is mizuman, is invited to Olam Haba. After 120 years, all of the Jews that lived in that time, they were all welcomed into the next world as great tzaddikim, as great righteous people. They went home, all of the Jews went home to their wives, even the wives that were a little bit older, and the women that were not able to have children. Every single person that year had a boy as a son that was born to them, to show them, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to show the Jewish people that He loves them and He cares for them, and they're all going to receive blessing from Him. So it was a wonderful year for all of the Jewish families of that time. It was an amazing thing. Now, it wasn't all good. There was a little bit of bad that happened too in the Beit HaMikdash. I don't want to have to separate you two. What was it? So many mitzvot were happening, so much celebration, there was one problem. Shlomo HaMelech, if you remember a few weeks ago, we talked about how he married the daughter of Paro. And Shlomo HaMelech married her in the beginning of the building of Beit HaMikdash, which was 7 years before the celebrations. However, he did not celebrate the marriage that he married Bat Paro until the night where they began the celebration of Beit HaMikdash. So it comes out that he married her 4 years after he became king, and then 7 years later, he began celebrating the marriage that he married her 7 years earlier. Now some of the commentaries say, why did he wait? If usually what happens is when you marry somebody, when do you celebrate? The night that you marry them. You don't wait 7 years to throw a wedding party. So why did he wait 7 years? The commentaries say it was the righteousness of Shlomo HaMelech. You want to try? Not yet. No. The righteousness of Shlomo HaMelech. Why was it the righteousness of Shlomo HaMelech? Because Shlomo HaMelech said, I am not going to celebrate anything personal until I finish the building of Beit HaMikdash and begin celebrating the Beit HaMikdash. I will not start my own personal celebrations. So great was he pushed off all of his individual celebrations until after Beit HaMikdash was built, and until he began celebrating Beit HaMikdash, the night of the celebration of Beit HaMikdash, he said, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to celebrate the marriage that I married Bat Paro. Now, why did Shlomo HaMelech marry Bat Paro? First of all, you should know, he converted her. He didn't marry her, chas v'shalom, as a non-Jew. He saw that she was actually a very wise person. Shlomo HaMelech was wise himself. He was the wisest of all people. And he cared only for wisdom. He was looking for a wife to be the wisest woman. And he found Bat Paro to have wisdom. And he thought that she was a tzaddiket because she looked, to me and you, she would look like a regular Bat Yaakov, a good woman that was keeping the laws of the Torah and the mitzvot. And he didn't see any problems with her. He thought that she was righteous. So he married her. Now, anybody know what her name was? It's very interesting because her name was the same as the daughter of Paro, who was in the times of Moshe Rabbeinu. Huh? Batya, exactly right. Her name was also Batya. And it's very interesting because the Arizal writes that just like Moshe Rabbeinu, he went ahead, according to some of the commentaries, she was kind of like his mother, and some of the other commentaries say that it was a very different type of a relationship that Moshe had with Batya. They were very, very close to one another. They were almost like they were related to one another. So Shlomo, which actually is almost the same letters as Moshe, inside Shlomo, the letters Mem, Shin, and He are found, which is Moshe. So he ended up actually marrying, Shlomo married Batya. Moshe was related sort of to Batya, and Shlomo ended up marrying Batya. So there is a parallel there. He married the daughter of Paro because he thought she was so wise, and she was fit to become the highest queen. So he marries her. Now, in truth, the Shlomo HaMelech made a mistake. He made a mistake. What was his mistake? When he went and celebrated that night, there was almost two celebrations happening. There was a celebration of the Beit HaMikdash, everybody was dancing and singing, and there was a celebration of the wedding of Shlomo. Now many of the Jews, they wanted to sort of be with the king and impress the king, so they celebrated with Shlomo HaMelech, and their bigger crowd was actually with Shlomo and the wedding than there was about the celebration of Beit HaMikdash, which had a little bit of a smaller crowd. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw this and said, I don't think this is good. I think there is a problem here. And he says, if Shlomo HaMelech is celebrating his marriage to Bat Paro on the night of the celebration of Beit HaMikdash, you should know that this Beit HaMikdash will not last. It will eventually be destroyed. Now some of the commentaries ask, why does Shlomo HaMelech do this? Why would he celebrate on the night of the Beit HaMikdash being celebrated, the wedding to his wife? Why would he put it specifically on that day? Especially since he made sure to make the celebration of Beit HaMikdash not on Sukkot in order to not confuse the two celebrations. So why would he get married on that night? And it's beautiful because a lot of the commentaries say Shlomo HaMelech did something very, very deep and wise. People don't understand. They look at Shlomo, oh, that was a big mistake. They don't realize what he was doing. Shlomo HaMelech wanted to explain to Am Yisrael what it means to have a Beit HaMikdash. It's not just a building. Beit HaMikdash is more than just a building. It's more than just sacrifices. It's a relationship with God. We are the Jewish people. We are, so to speak, the wife of God. God is married to the Jewish people. He is the husband and we are the wife. We have a relationship that is as loving, as close, and even closer than that of a husband and a wife. And this is why Am Yisrael is referred to as a kala. We were like a bride that was entering into the wedding. When we received the Torah, that was like the wedding ceremony. And Shlomo HaMelech tries to explain to Am Yisrael, just like there is a celebration of a wedding, that is the celebration of Beit HaMikdash, is a wedding between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore, he got married on that night. He made the celebration on that night to remind Am Yisrael the parallel between a marriage and our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now that was a great idea. And it was actually not a problem. God did not have an issue with Shlomo HaMelech getting married and celebrating that night. What was the issue? What was the mistake? It was the wrong woman. Bat Paro was not as righteous and was not worthy of being an example to represent Am Yisrael. That was the mistake Shlomo HaMelech made. Now Shlomo HaMelech was such a wise person. He was so involved in so many deep things that he didn't take enough time to look carefully and very meticulous in the life of Bat Paro to see, is she really as righteous as she claims to be? If he would have paid more attention, he would have noticed, you know what, she's not really fitting to be that queen, to make as a parallel and as an example how Am Yisrael is with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the mistake of Shlomo HaMelech was very subtle, but the idea was very logical. What he was doing was right, in the sense to show Am Yisrael what it means to celebrate the relationship between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, there was an incident that actually happened with the daughter of Paro that very night. Bat Paro, who was righteous, but not perfect. Not perfect. Not on the level of Shlomo HaMelech. Bat Paro knew that Shlomo HaMelech for 7 years did not touch wine. He did not even drink wine in order to show that I will not participate in physical pleasures until the Beit HaMikdash is built. Until Beit HaMikdash is built, I'm not going to enjoy anything for myself. So what happened was, that night where they were celebrating the Beit HaMikdash, Shlomo HaMelech for the first time in many years drank wine. And when a person drinks wine, especially when he's celebrating and drinking wine, and he drinks a significant amount of wine, what it does is it makes the person very, very tired, to the point that he sort of, in the very beginning, you get very excited and you have a lot of energy, but then you get very tired and you sleep very, very long. So Shlomo HaMelech drank wine, and that night he fell asleep in his bed, and it was very difficult for him to wake up. Not only that, Bat Paro decided that she's going to do something in the room. She made a new decoration in the room where Shlomo slept. She took this very, very dark blue sort of tapestry. It was like a cloth. And she put it by the roof and all of the windows, covered all the windows with it that night. And on the clothing, that this dark blue, she put little tiny sparkling diamonds. Diamond over here, a diamond over here, all over it. And she had professionals hang it up. So now Shlomo HaMelech wakes up. It's already 7 o'clock in the morning. He wakes up, he opens his eyes, and what is he seeing? It looks completely dark, and he looks and he sees, oh, there's still stars out. Okay, it's still night. He goes back to sleep. 7:45, he opens his eyes again. Oh, it's still dark. Okay, that's a little strange. He goes back to sleep. 9 o'clock in the morning, he opens his eyes. Oh, it's still dark, huh? Okay, he falls asleep again. In the meantime, it's the first day of the inauguration of Beit HaMikdash. All of the Jewish people are up already from the morning, from the sunrise. They're waiting to bring the Korban. but nobody could open the doors. Who has the key? Shlomo HaMelech has the key. Where's the key? It's under his pillow. Who's going to walk into the room of the king to wake him up? Nobody dared go into Shlomo HaMelech's room to wake him up. Everybody was afraid to do that. So they didn't know what to do. They wait 1 hour from 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock. We got to bring the korbanot. Let's go. We're supposed to bring it right away. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. No sign. Shlomo HaMelech still didn't leave his room. He's still sleeping. Finally, they said, okay, we got to do something. They call his mother. Batsheva, we need your help. We're all afraid. Only his mother could go into his room. And they said, he's not waking up. We don't know what to do. Maybe something happened to him. She comes into the room. She says, don't worry about it. I'm going to go in there. She wakes him up. Shlomo HaMelech wakes him up and she starts giving him rebuke. How could you sleep in the day of the inauguration of Beit HaMikdash? All of the Jewish people are waiting for you. What are they going to say? About you, about your mother, about the fact that the Torah and the mitzvot and how a person is supposed to perform mitzvot. And she rebuked him for staying up. Now, it wasn't really his fault. It was his fault that he married Bat Paro. But who made this whole balagan, this whole mess? It was her. And Shlomo HaMelech was asleep until finally his mother comes in, wakes him up. He says, yes, of course. He gets ready really fast. It says by 10 o'clock already he was out. He had the keys. He opened up Beit HaMikdash. And that was actually the latest time the korbanot were ever brought in Beit HaMikdash. It was the first day, was the latest time. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. And you know what? Since the korban was brought so late on that first day, it's actually where we learn out that the time of the first prayer, Shacharit, where we pray in the morning, is until about 10 o'clock. Where do we learn it from? We learn it from the Korban Tamid, from the offerings of the Korban Tamid that were brought at the latest point, 10 o'clock. So this actually sort of helped a lot of people, because sometimes people, they get tired, and they only wake up 9:30, 9 o'clock, they wake up very late, and they say, oh, can I still pray? Baruch Hashem, Shlomo HaMelech woke up late and brought the korbanot at 10 o'clock the first day. Therefore, you're able to pray even until 10 o'clock, 10:30 sometimes during the year. You could still pray Shachrit, and you still get full credit for the mitzvah praying Shachrit. So in one way it was bad that Shlomo HaMelech delayed, but in some ways it actually benefited Am Yisrael. There's always good. There's a good side to everything. But either way, Shlomo HaMelech made a mistake on his level when he did that. Beit HaMikdash is now fully built. Shlomo HaMelech, on the one hand, did an amazing job, and on the other hand, he also seeded the demise and the destruction of Beit HaMikdash from the marriage of Bat Paro. Be'ez Hashem, next week, we'll see further about the stories of Shlomo HaMelech.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.